Today, we'll be looking at two popular full-size pickup trucks in America, the Ram pickup and the Chevy Silverado. How did each truck evolve in technology and style? Why did Dodge and Ram split? Why did the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra look so similar? Also, if you're looking for a used model, we'll see which used models are most reliable and which ones to avoid, and more. So hop in and let's go for a ride. It was 1981. Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as president. Prince Charles and Lady Diana got married, and MTV was born. It was also the same year that Dodge retired and rebadged the Dodge D-Series pickup truck, which featured an interesting Ram ornament on its hood. Actually, this Ram hood ornament had on Dodge vehicles from 1933 until the 1950s, when Dodge retired the mascot. But almost 30 years later, the Chrysler president, Lee Iacocca, and the marketing team decided to bring back the mascot, their symbol of strength, masculinity, and persistence. It made sense to don it on a new Dodge truck, and that's how the truck would become known as the Ram. Initially, Dodge used 150 to indicate a half-ton truck, 250 for a three-quarter-ton truck, and 350 for its one-ton truck. The Ram had only two drive options, D for two-wheel drive and W for all-wheel drive. Soon after, Dodge changed their naming convention. The 150 or half-ton now became the Ram 1500. The 250 became the Ram 2500, and 350 became the Ram 3500. Basically, they added a zero to the end of each label. And the marketing worked because it gave consumers the perception that it was stronger and sturdier. The Ram was offered in V6 and V8. There was even a V10 that produced 300 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. This generation Ram saw the first full-size pickup truck to offer a drive-side airbag as well as four-wheel ABS. In 1993, Dodge added the W250 Club Cab. It had a Cummins B-Series diesel engine. What's remarkable is that it used the direct injection and didn't rely on the use of glow plugs, whereas GM and Ford trucks at the time used indirect injection. The Ram was also available with an inline-six turbo diesel, whereas Ford and GM used V8 diesel engines. By the mid to late 1990s, the American economy was thriving. Families had more disposable income, and they could afford more comfort. So, for the second generation, Dodge redesigned the Ram and increased its cabin space, glove box, and storage. It also featured a large grille and a big rig design for the front end. That year, the Ram was named Motor Trend magazine's Truck of the Year, beating the trucks by Ford and GMC. Not long after, in 1999, it was prime time for Chevrolet to introduce a new light-duty pickup. They called it the Silverado. It was based on the same GMT 800 full-size truck platform used in GM's Suburban and other full-size SUVs. The first generation had a classic body style with three cab styles: conventional two-door cab, four-door extended, and an extended cab with front hinged doors. The Silverado 1500 was the first pickup with an automatic transmission with a tow-haul mode. In the meantime, Dodge updated the Ram for its third generation, namely its frame, powertrain, suspension, and interior. It helped to boost sales. U.S. sales jumped from less than 344,000 trucks in 2001 to almost 400,000 in 2002, and in the year 2003 jumped to nearly 450,000. In the meantime, Chevy released the second generation Silverado. It had a completely new design, a new engine, and came in 5 trims. We're talking about a new front frame depth, crack and pinion steering, better fuel economy. This generation was tougher, with new steel frame of higher strength, which improved the body stiffness by 92%. It handled rough road conditions and heavy loads better than the previous generation. NHTSA gave it high safety markings. Around the same time, Dodge introduced the fourth generation Ram. This generation saw Ram trucks become its own brand. That's because in 2010, Chrysler restructured Dodge. It allowed the Dodge brand to focus on minivans, sedans, and muscle cars, like the Dodge Challenger. And it also allowed the Ram brand to focus its energy on developing more powerful, advanced trucks. This era Ram was marketed as having a class-exclusive manual transmission. That's because many other truck makers around that time stopped offering manual transmissions. Around this time, Chrysler had planned to make a two-mode hybrid Ram. But then they decided to test the smaller fleet of 140 plug-in hybrid Rams. They introduced a PHEV pickup in 2011. It had a 5.7-liter Hemi V8 gas engine that produced 345 horsepower, and it was paired with a 2-mode hybrid transmission and Electrovia lithium-ion battery. The all-electric range was 20 miles, and the truck averaged 32 miles a gallon in the city in the charge-depleting mode. Also, the truck towed up to 6,000 pounds. But this version was released to just a limited audience, including the government and the U.S. Army. By 2013 and 2014, Ram was once again voted Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. The Ram had grown from a good old American workhorse to a working truck and family vehicle that was both robust and reliable. It's around this time that Chevrolet released the third-generation Silverado. It was quieter, smoother, more powerful, efficient, with better mileage than before. For example, the base 4.3-liter V6 engine increased in output from 195 to 285 horsepower. To lower the truck's weight, the body construction used more aluminum and high-strength steel. Next, the Ram entered its 5th generation. The Ram 1500 came available in the e-torque mild hybrid option. The belt-driven motor generator replaced the traditional alternator. It worked in conjunction with a 48-volt battery pack for short-duration torque, seamless start-stop function, and brake energy regeneration. That same year, 2019, Chevrolet released its 4th generation Silverado. It was more sculpted and weighed 450 pounds lighter than the previous models. Crew cab models had 3 inches more legroom. Buyers could now choose from 8 trim levels. Chevy also added a turbo diesel 3-liter 6-cylinder engine paired with the new 10-speed automatic transmission. Currently, the Chevy Silverado is still in its 4th generation. Last year, Chevy added a 6.2-liter V8 engine option paired with a 10-speed automatic. By the way, ever notice how the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra look rather similar? Well, it's like how siblings look similar because they share the same parent. So, it is with these two brands because they're both owned by the parent company, General Motors. To optimize resources, the two companies share the same chassis, offer the same choice of engines, and basically share the same design and dashboard layout for these trucks. Mechanically, you can say they're almost twins. But despite sharing many features, they do have their differences. After all, they don't want to compete against each other and cannibalize sales. GMC presents the Sierra as a more luxurious truck with more comfortable and upscale interior and premium materials. Chevrolet, on the other hand, markets the Silverado as an affordable working truck. So you can see how they're tag teaming in a way by focusing on different lifestyles and markets to reach a broader span. So if you're looking for a used Ram or Silverado, which models are worth considering and which ones should you avoid? Let's go from worst to best, starting with a Ram. For starters, the year 2002 Ram 1500 is one you might want to be careful about. According to Consumer Reports, of 563 complaints, the biggest criticism from owners has to do with dashboard cracking or falling apart. Furthermore, there have been complaints about engine failure from oil sludge. Consumer Reports rated them as a 9.3 out of 10 in severity because of the driving danger that poses and because it can cost some $3,600 to repair. Other noted problems included engine noise, the check engine light coming on, rocker arms popping off, rust on the oil pan causing leaks. The 2014 model also had notable concerns, namely around the transmission, interior accessories, electrical system, and engine. So it's best to be discerning on those models. On the other hand, a few of the most reliable Ram models include the 2018 and 2020 models. The 2018 model had the least number of overall complaints from owners. There were 9 recalls by NHTSA on this model, and most likely, these have been already resolved at the dealership. Be sure to confirm that nonetheless. The 2018 model also had excellent crash test results, and it also rated very high in many other areas. The 2010 model also had low complaints overall, so that year is worth considering too. Now let's talk about the Chevy Silverado, starting from worst to best. You might want to be more discerning with the 2004, 2008, and 2009. The 04 Silverado received the worst overall complaints. Most common issues centered around the interior, accessories, steering, electrical braking, AC, and heating. But the worst Silverado is probably the 2008 model. That's because that model saw higher repair costs and more problems at lower mileage. The worst issue was excessive oil consumption, which can cost $2,700 to repair. Other problems included fuel level sensor failure, noises while steering, erratic speedometer, and check engine light problems. The 2009 had similar issues around oil consumption. The best used Silverados to consider include the 2012 and 2018. The 2012 has a reputation for being one of the most reliable models. There were only 2 recalls. One was around the ignition being stuck in the start position and then suddenly snapping back into the accessory position, which can lead to an accident. The other recall had to do with the fuel gauge showing inaccurate readings. So you want to make sure those 2 recalled items were addressed. There were a few minor issues around less comfortable interior, less power, and difficulty maneuvering. But overall, the 2012 is a good bet for overall reliability if you want used. The 2018 Silverado is another noteworthy year. It has admirable performance, and people say it's gotten the Silverado back on track. But now you tell me, what's your take on the difference between the Ram and the Silverado? If you have any funny or horror stories, please share in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for your support.